Hey y'all, I'm Chase Clemens. This is the Support Ops Hangout. This is a show that helps you deliver a better support experience to your customers. Now, as always, we've got some of the best support pros in the business. So before we dive into this week's topic, let's go ahead and make sure you've met them. Out last week, but surviving the Apple Store horror story experience and all of that is Carolyn. Carolyn's back from Buffer. How are you?
I'm good. If you want to hear about my horror story, my experience at Apple, I was telling Chase.
No, wait. Let's save it for the end. That way they have to listen till the end.
No, I wasn't going to tell the whole story.
Oh, but I was just going to use it as like bait to get them to the end of the episode.
Okay.
You know, like they do like every week on like whatever, we're going to announce who's off after this commercial break.
Okay.
So, but I will say, all right, so there was two companies that you were dealing with.
That's what I was going to do.
Yeah, and then we'll reveal which company was which at the end. How's that?
Okay. I had one great customer service experience and one very bad one in the same day. One was Sunglass Hut and one was Apple. And you can guess which is which.
You'll find out after the break. Oh, and next up, Jeff from Wistia. How are you?
I'm good, Chase. I'm great. I don't have any Apple mishaps to report on.
Yeah, this is why I'm still running my MacBook from like 2014. It hasn't broke. I don't want to like jinx it, basically. Knocking on wood. All right, so this week, it's the last episode in our boundary series. So we're going to be focusing on basically customer boundaries that you've got going on. We've got customers. We've all been, doing this for a little while now. All of our companies have been around for a little while. So you probably have customers that have been with your company forever. And with those, it can be really tempting to set up like perks, special benefits, like VIP treatment, like that kind of thing. Maybe if they pay you more money, they get special access or whatnot. So we want to talk a little bit about the line for those types of VIP customers, the boundaries that you want to have with them. So Jeff, we'll start with you on this one. For customers that have been with Wistia for a while, or for customers that you really like Basecamp, we love Wistia, and it's fantastic. Is there any kind of, I don't know, is there any perks that I should be getting that I'm not?
So we don't. Good question. I think like any customer that's been or any business that's been around for a while, there are some perks or parts of it that are explicit and some that are sort of informal and just come with being around for a long time. We ran a pricing report recently, and someone is paying us $12 a month. And no one could remember a plan ever that was set up for someone to pay us $12 a month. Our current entry-level price is $100 a month. Someone out there got a price at some point in the far-flung past and has just been paying $12 a month ever since then. So quite similarly, before we had a shared inbox, you might have gotten an email from me directly, and people still respond to that email and that email thread 6 years later. That is, those are, I guess, something, you could call them VIP customers because they can now contact, everyone up to the CEO directly. But there's nothing formal about that. We have learned, over time we've experimented with having tiered support. So certain customers fall into a bucket that we have set goals around response times, different response times for example. But honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. And I thought there was a really great blog post from Jason Fried from back in the day that speaks to that more directly.
Yeah, so I'll find that one and put it in the show notes. But basically what happened with us was with Basecamp 3, we knew that there were going to be some kind of tiers to start. So you had like an entry level, and then you had like a little bit higher and a little bit higher, and then you could top it at the top with our enterprise package. It was $3,000 a year, unlimited yada, 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 and all that. You get your own personal SLA. Like if Basecamp was ever down, then we would give you money back in the form of credits and things. You got your own account rep. You got special training. And like, basically we're like, if we charge $3,000, what other shit do we have to push in there to make it worth it? Right. I guess I got to like put that little tag. I now have an audio tag just for you, Jeff, that starts out the episode with like, this one might have some explicit language in it. I just have it saved now, so I can go back to it. But yeah, so we had that enterprise package, and for us, it created so much manual work that it was kind of ridiculous. Like, so now you have an SLA about, so you're going to get so much per hour back for every hour that Basecamp is down. So you have to figure out, like, you've got to have this mathematical formula that tells you how much people should get back in credits, and you have to figure out how to apply those credits to the account, right? And that's just because you decided to throw up an SLA just because you like had to fill out a package, basically. The training, like that was one thing that was really interesting because we enjoyed doing those trainings. We, felt that the people that went through those trainings had a better fit with Basecamp at the end. Like they kind of knew the Basecamp way, which was really cool. But like they also came with an account rep. So you have to have somebody that is an account rep. You have to figure out how to let other people know about that account rep. Like you have to have that rep keep up with all the people that they have accounts for, right? And then what happens if that rep is gone for the day? Like, does that customer just wait around for them to get back, or like what's the rule for that? So it added complexity for us, which was something that we didn't want. Complexity means you have to policies in place, processes in place, like, and then you have to have rules for all this and then exceptions for all that, just because somebody is a quote unquote enterprise customer, right? And for us, they just didn't feel like us. It didn't feel like Basecamp. And it introduced complexity where there really wasn't a reason for it to be there. So we did away with it. If you're on an enterprise package still, that's cool. Like you can still stay on it and all that, but we don't offer it anymore. So yeah, that's the article that you were, I think, right? Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah. And it rings very, very true. Especially, so in that post, Jason's talking about complexity, and especially some of the things he said around like some red flags for creating complexity are things like, well, there's probably some things we don't know, but we'll figure them out later, like when we run into them. And that makes a lot of sense in the right context. We do that all the time, but you really want to make sure that that's on strategy. We build software for a living. We don't work at hospitals or, other like life-threatening things. So sometimes we can be like, you know what, we'll figure it out. Like we're just going to give it a shot. But if you say that to everything and you don't do the critical thinking work of saying like, is having VIP customers a really important thing for our business? If you don't do that critical thinking work and you just say like, well, it would be nice to have that extra money, and having people pay more is always a good thing. Then you end up with all kinds of complexity all over the place. One that we've talked about extensively on this show, but that applies to our current situation, is we've been thinking about 24/7 again. I have pretty strong feelings about the ridiculous amount of complexity that comes with something like that. But yet still, there are people that call us up or whatever, email us and say, oh, you wouldn't believe how interested we are in something like that. And so, yeah, a framework that says you have to think through some of those problems before you can sign up for that, I think is really important.
Yeah, it's so what is right now very clear boundaries, right? You don't run 24/7 support. You run 6 to 6 or 8 to 5 or whatever it is that y'all run. Then becomes, all right, well, we're moving the boundary for time for more money. So a customer, if they pay us more money, can shift that boundary and get 24/7 support. Well, now it's, well, what else can they pay more for and get? Like that boundary kind of, instead of becoming a nice clear line or fence or whatever, it's now like, it shifts depending on how much money you want to give us. And that's always, like you mentioned, it breeds complexity at that point. Because it's not the same for everybody. It's this person has this agreement with us, this person has that agreement with us, and so on. Carolyn, with Buffer, like, y'all have been around forever. Like, what some of your oldest customers there, do they, well, like Jeff was mentioning, do they have like whatever your work email address is so they can contact you?
Yeah, two of them that I related to was some of the grandfathered pricing. my email address or Joel's, although in most cases nowadays, not all, but most, you're better off just writing to the support team. You'll get better service and faster, and the person will actually know the answer to your question. And also, like, there's a bug flying around in here, and if it lands on me, I'm gonna freak out, which is why I was like looking up, because it was buzzing like it was gonna land on me, and I was getting ready to freak out, but it didn't. So that's why on the video version of this, I was like, I swear I'm paying attention.
Maybe we should have hidden the video version behind like a VIP membership.
Oh, see, and you connected it.
Wait, can we play the Where's Carolyn game? Like, wait, where are you?
Oh, I'm in Nashville for one more
okay.
week. Yeah, and then I'm out for a bunch of weeks because I'm in Europe.
So with that, since you did bring that one up,
okay.
I was going to say, since you did bring that one up about the email, that one's really interesting. If a customer does, like, somebody that's been around forever that does have your email address and emails you, if your inbox was caught up, right, like in a wonderful buffer unicorn and rainbow world,
alternate universe,
alt uni, whatever, would you go ahead and answer the customer, or would you still like slide them over into the support queue, like forward their email over, or that kind of thing?
Depends on how hysterical. If it's that if I know the answer, and it's actually urgent, sure. But usually I say, like, I got this, I hear you, hold on, let me investigate. And like, yeah, I try not to say, can I bump this person to the top of the line? But generally there's a reason for it. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but the other one I was going to say is sometimes we have like built custom builds, or like have certain feature flips that we've turned on and then, or like we've been testing out and then we didn't actually release, and people said, I really liked it. I know it's not going to be supported and it might break, but can you leave it on for me? And we've gone like, okay. So there's definitely, and yeah, I mean, I know, I feel like the answer that you're supposed to give is no, but like, I definitely treat the customers that I know personally and have worked with and have history with, like, yeah, of course, you like look out for them.
So now I wonder what perks I should be getting with y'all that I'm not. No, I will say, y'all, just to plug Respond again from Buffer, like, y'all have been great in rolling out some great treatment with us for that since we started using it. Yeah, and the real answer for all of this is, well, every customer is a VIP. So
I like that.
The last time we talked about VIPs, I got like 3 or 4 emails about that, being like, no, really? Like, okay, that's cool, but like, let's be real. Let's just be honest. Yeah, I mean, so with the feature flags and all that, that's interesting. Like with us, it was, and maybe, I guess it's a byproduct of us not doing like, so like when we prep a feature and get ready to release it, like it's out to everybody. Like it's there, it's done. There's not really a way to turn it on for one person or 2 people or anything like that. Like so you mentioned a little bit earlier about their expectations. They're like, yeah, it's not supported. If it breaks, that kind of thing. Is there any thought given on the team side as far as like, oh, like this might break that one thing, like let me spend an extra 3 or 4 hours to make sure it doesn't break that?
No.
Yeah, it's just like roll the dice. If it still works, yay.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, that's the whole point. Like, you can't sunset a feature and then still worry about it. The whole point of sunsetting a feature is because you don't want to worry about it. And in general, like, we just had this discussion actually about something else. In general, I don't condone that, because even if you make them swear 6 times over that they are okay with it and they understand that it's a beta feature and it's not going to break, it's not going to necessarily work, people are upset and annoyed and their work gets lost when it stops working. So it's not a great experience. If I have a vote in the conversation, I usually recommend having a timeline on that. So like, okay, you want to give someone access to something for X number of months because they really love it. Okay. But try not to make that like a forever thing.
Yeah, totally. So Jeff, for customers that you mentioned, like you were pulling like those pricing reports and everything earlier. Like one of the things that we do with Basecamp is every now and then we'll look at like who our oldest customers are and like do something nice for them, whether it's send them something or whatnot, just a nice like little token of, hey, thanks for being with us for so long. Does Wistia do anything like that? Like, any kind of gift back for customers that have been around, like no strings attached. It's not like you're giving us money to get something special. It's just like, we just want to be nice.
Oh, totally. Although we've never done it in that like planned of a fashion, or what's the word, like organized of a fashion as you do. Let's see who our oldest customers are and let's send them something.
Yeah.
We do cards, like thank you cards, or we did Christmas cards, holiday cards this year, but it was just, hey, come up with a list of things of people you'd like to send something to, just to say thank you for being maybe a great advocate or a great customer. And in that case, I don't think we're trying to make any kind of trade there, like tell them that there's a VIP customer in some way. And if we found someone was really taking advantage of that, like, hey, using it in the way that you hear the stories of people using a holiday card from the cops to like get out of a speeding ticket, right? It's like, yeah, I got this thing from, Wistia, so that must mean that if I have a feature request, they're going to consider it way more than for anybody else. If that kind of thing happens, we try, because we've been burned on this, but we try to be very direct about the type of business that we're building and how we think about working with customers. Like we're trying to build something that works for many hundreds of thousands of people and their businesses. We're not looking to build something that works specifically for your business. And so sometimes that means separating the things that are specific to your use case from the things that are specific to everybody's use case. And we also try to be very clear about who we're solving for. We're solving for someone who is very non-technical. And when you start to get clear about that, people who are asking for something very technical tend to be self-aware to say, what I'm asking for is actually different than what you're trying to solve for, and I get that. Which is, again, like well-tread material for this group, for this podcast.
Yeah, that's one of those so I've been doing some different job to be done cancellation interviews, and they've been really interesting to see like the customers that are like, oh, Basecamp did like 80-90% of what I needed, and that was great, and we used it until we didn't need it anymore, and then we canceled. It not doing like, you're never, so I remember one lady was talking about, she said something along the lines of like, you're never going to find a product that does 100% of what you need. For that, like you have to build your own thing, right? But if you find something like Basecamp or Buffer or Wistia that does like 80, 85, 90% of it, that's close enough. Like that's good enough at that point. I thought that was really interesting. We were hearing this thing like you were talking about, like you're building for 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 kind of people. There's going to be some general things that everybody deals with, but it's never going to be like you're making a feature that makes it easier to add puppy pictures to the videos because of that baker down the street that has like dog treats or whatever.
That's right. That's exactly the feature that they were looking for.
Yeah. Or that kid on the corner with the lemonade stand that's trying to compete and just can't can't go up against that massive Jeff lemonade thing.
That kid needs to roll his own solution.
So Carolyn, with as Buffer's grown, it's been really interesting to see y'all go and kind of expand into like Buffer for Business and kind of that kind of thing. What do you say to people that are like, yeah, I want like Buffer for Enterprise, like I want to give you more money and get like more out of it?
Well, we don't have a sales.
How do you say no?
Yeah, we don't have a sales team, so that makes it, first of all, easier to say no. Nobody's incentivized by that other than, obviously generally wanting to serve the customer and liking our business to get money, but nobody's like really, really excited about the idea of a customer who is going to pay us a bunch of money but might not quite be the right perfect fit. So that helps. Our technical team really is usually the one who answers that question for us. So if if somebody says like, yeah, I know you don't have a great solution for the fact that this product is designed for, 40 accounts and I have 740, like it's worth it to me. I'll scroll through and choose the ones, like whatever. If it's worth it to them, then we'll say to the tech team, like, the architecture, like, is this the type of thing that we can support? And, Sunil, our soon to be departed, dearly beloved CTO, often says like, well, we have to find the boundary of failure. So, if it doesn't hit the boundary of failure, or even if it does, then that tells us like, okay, do we want to continue to work to make this possible? Because this is the future of the type of, business and customer that we want to support or not. And so that's generally how we build it, or how we build the case for that. I'm a little gun shy with those customers. Generally, I find that if it's not really built for them, people sometimes want the solution, but, and of course, anyone's welcome if we can support it technically, but I would proceed with caution.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, proceed with caution. That's the best, because so going back to like the enterprise package that Basecamp offered, it was unlimited projects, unlimited users, like 2 terabytes of file storage, which
I do not like the word unlimited.
It's so for 99% of the people, it's fine. Like you don't worry about it. They're never going to get anywhere near any kind of point of failure like you were talking about. But I remember talking with one customer. It's like, yeah, we want to put like 10,000 users in here, and then each of them's going to be responsible for like 200, 300 projects a piece. And like I was sitting here doing the math and like figuring out, and the line that jumped out, he was like, yeah, any member of my team can have anywhere upwards of 1,500 to 2,000 to-dos at any one time. And I was like, first off, wow. Like, just wow. The second off, you could probably stick that in Basecamp, but when you go to load a page, it's going to be like 8-10 minutes worth of you staring at a blank screen as it's trying to load 2,000 to-dos.
Yeah.
So that's a good indication that Basecamp is just not the right fit. So I've done that, fall back on the technical like point of failure, like it's just not going to be a good. And of course they're going to press and be like, well, what if we give you more money? It's like, no, that's not what you need. Like, you need a different product. Like, we know, I think each of us here knows, and hopefully our listeners know, like the perfect fit for our product, like our ideal customer and what they look like and what they do, and kind of how our product helps them. Once you kind of get out of those boundaries, that's when it just, like we were talking earlier, like complexity creeps in, and it does not, it's like kudzu in the South. If you've ever seen kudzu, like once it's there, you have to like burn the fucker to get it out. It's ridiculous.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what, Jeff, have you ever seen kudzu? No. Okay, I'm going to put a link. I'm going to make a note right here and put a link about kudzu in here. It's this green vine thing that come up from like Central America, basically. And at first, the South was like using it to replenish fields. Like the cotton would drain out nutrients and things, so they would plant kudzu and it would bring it back, and it worked for a while. And then everyone was like, oh crap, this is like a weed that just grows everywhere. So you can drive down the road down here and you'll see it like climbing up telephone poles and wrapping around the wires and enveloping trees. And it's like this green leafy ivy thing that you literally cannot get rid of unless you like just burn it all down.
Huh.
Yeah.
Good lesson.
It's a mess. Yeah, I'll put a link in there. Sorry, that random Southerner part that I just happened to know. Yeah, all right. So I think we can all kind of like come to the agreement, like special VIP things, probably not a good idea. Natural things that happen, whether it's you get somebody's email address or you happen to give gifts or credits or whatever to like some of your oldest customers, that's okay. That's all right. Any last things that y'all want to throw in before we head into like the big reveal for Carolyn's?
I have something, but I'll let Carolyn go first.
Oh no, you go.
Okay.
We're so civil here. Like I love it. It's just like support people. No, it's okay. You go.
I just think it's important to add that as people who aren't answering support tickets every day, that's me and Carolyn. I find it extremely helpful to have a bucket of time that I set aside for the people who write to me or the customers that I may be able to have interactions with through Twitter, or we have a Slack community for Wistia customers. It's just important to bucket that or like time box it in some way, because it can expand forever, right? We work with a lot of people, and a lot of them have thoughts about how our software can help their business, which is a really, really great thing. And their input is extremely valuable. However, it can run you over, and you can end up sort of chasing your tail saying, oh, that's the most important problem because that person seemed really excited about it. Oh, wait, that's the most important problem. That person was like crying about the thought of not having it. And you end up being very like emotionally driven, as opposed to being able to step back and think about it at a deeper level. So it's a tough balance to strike, but I think for me, finding times within my week where I'm like, this is my time where I'm just going to jump into a conversation with someone and just ask them how it's going, or I'm just going to write to 20 people on intercom and just see if I can get some responses on like why someone logged into Wistia today. It's still extremely valuable, even outside of the support context.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of those where, I mean, I'm in the trenches and doing tickets every day. And it's still one of those where the first hour of my day is normally spent with like thank you cards going out to customers that have been with us forever, checking in on customers that have been with us forever, checking community stuff, like that, those kind of things. But like you said, time box, right? Otherwise, those can, I forget where the phrase is, and I'm sure everybody's heard it, but like the work like expands to fill the time that you give it.
Yep.
So nailed it.
Yeah, whatever that phrase was. I'm just going with that.
I think that's it.
Oh, yes. Score one. Yeah, so like time box that stuff, set those boundaries. And if you have trouble setting boundaries around those time, check out the previous episode from last week, because that's what we talked about. All right, Carolyn, the big review.
Oh, wait, okay, I have two things.
Okay, go ahead.
Before we get to the big review.
Okay.
It's my show now. Okay, one thing I was going to add, loved Jeff's point, not related, but on the like a VIP experience and treating your customers who've been with you a long time, like I think it's totally okay to talk to them differently and treat them like pals and use lingo, and you know, you can sort of get pretty far on just that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of psychology around being an insider, in-group versus out-group, and treating a customer like they're in the in-group, like they're kind of an extension of the team. It's totally legit if that's true. And that is a really fun experience when you have been, you know, there's some customers who've been around longer than I have. But the people who I supported in the, you know, the beginning of my time at Buffer, like, you know, I happen to know that this one woman really needs this one feature on the Android app, you know, so we'll like send that person a test build, and that's like, that kind of stuff is totally legit. So yeah, even if it's not an official program for VIPs, like you can sort of get a lot of distance from just that like level of friendship, I think. The other thing I was going to say is, can I do an old school shout out?
Sure.
Okay. Is it okay if it's another podcast?
Oh, is it in the support realm? Okay, it's allowed. Yeah, it's allowed.
It's different though. Okay, support breakfast is.
I love them. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. My dear friend and colleague, and Dave Chapman from Buffer, and several of his dear friends and colleagues in the space, generally European people-ish, have started Support Brekkie, and it's really, really great. So
they actually have breakfast. It's really cool.
They actually do that dance every time they say it.
Nobody can see me except you guys.
And the like VIP video membership that we're going to start.
Yeah, right.
And what a joy it is that we get to see the
dance. Nobody knows how much I wiggle when I talk, except people who see me on video.
I think my mom watches the video thing, so I'm going to get like a text later on and be like the wiggle. That was great.
Okay, you ready for the big reveal?
Yeah, so, okay, we got to set it back up. So, okay. Sunglass Hut, Apple, one was fantastic, one was horrible.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. The answer is Sunglass Hut was amazing. I walked in with like 18-month-old sunglasses that I wear constantly. If I don't have them on my face, I usually have them on my head. And a screw broke, and I walked in with them and asked them to fix them, and they replaced them on the spot, no questions asked. So I'm now a customer for life. And Apple had a little bit of a perfect storm with both a new trainee and a system being down and some poor time estimates that resulted in not that great of an experience. I have had very many good experiences there, but this one didn't work out in that way. So we'll give them a pass, but they were really showed up by Sunglass Hut.
I told Carolyn earlier, the Sunglass Hut, the better of the huts when it comes to the hut. That's the only two huts I know. Is there any more huts out there? Like maybe? I don't know.
Was the other one Pizza Hut? I missed that part.
Pizza Hut.
Okay, good.
You've been to Pizza Hut, right? They have those up north.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I just didn't know if that was the other of the huts that you were referring to.
I giggled.
I guess there's like Jabba the Hutt. I don't know.
Do you take back which is your favorite hut?
No, still Sunglass, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine too now, after last Monday.
There should be more huts.
Like a Lemonade Hut?
Lemonade Hut, yes.
Lemonade Hut. It's a place to get your lemonade.
Yeah, if you want to do like, instead of the banana stand, there could, there's always money in the Banana Hut.
Oh, nice. Instead of the banana stand, there's a Lemonade Hut.
Yeah.
Love that.
That can be like your tagline. We're not like the other huts.
Lemonade Hut. Better than all other huts except for Sunglass Hut.
I'm serious. That's going to be our new spin-off podcast. Like, as Jeff builds his lemonade empire, we're going to be along for the ride.
Listen, don't mess.
All right, so that's our take on this one. Let us know what you think. We're hello@supportops.co on email. We're @supportops on Twitter. Thanks for listening. We're off for about 2 weeks or so just because of travel and other things. A perfect storm, as Carolyn mentioned earlier. So we'll be back and a couple of weeks with a brand new series, a brand new episode. And until we see you then, have an awesome week.